High above the gas planet Bespin, there is a magnificent city floating serenely among the clouds. This is Cloud City, named after its founder, Corvus Cloud, who, after finally working out the technology to suspend a mining complex in the atmosphere, fell over a ledge while walking his ack dog due to an oversight regarding safety railings. For years, Cloud City had enjoyed prosperity, being able to keep the Galactic Empire out of their affairs, until the Millennium Falcon came for sanctuary after the Battle of Hoth. Now on a catwalk high in the city with sufficient safety railings, the young rebellion hero Luke Skywalker faced his nemesis, the man who killed his father, the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader. Their lightsabers clashed in flashes of red and blue, as the Jedi-to-be was edged further back by Vader. But Luke continued to resist. Swinging his lightsaber, he finally got a hit in, hitting Vader in the shoulder. "Ow! Why, you little..." Vader struck back, pushing Luke to the very edge, and with his red lightsaber, took off his opponent's hand with a decisive undercut. Luke screamed in pain, clutching at his stump. "There is no escape," said Vader, with a grim matter-of-factness. "Don't make me destroy you." Luke edged back, defeated in the duel, but still not willing to surrender to Vader. "Luke, you do not yet realize your importance," Vader said. "You have only begun to discover your power. Join me, and I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy." "I'll never join you," Luke shouted in defiance. "If you only knew the power of the dark side," retorted Vader. "Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father." "He told me enough." "He told me you killed him." "No, I am your father." Luke didn't believe him. He couldn't believe him. No, that's not true. That's impossible." "Search your feelings, you know it to be true." Luke screamed, a soul-shattering scream that echoed through the chambers of Cloud City. "Luke," Vader said carefully, "you can destroy the Emperor. He has foreseen this. It is your destiny. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son." Darth Vader stretched out his hand, imploring his son to take it. Luke refused and, not willing to go with Vader, chose to let himself fall down into the void below. Meanwhile, down one of the air vents, a maintenance worker was toiling away to keep the filter working correctly. This is Barry Astrovik, who up until recently reveled in pulling pranks around Cloud City, like putting sugar in cloud car engines, or switching out the cards in the casino with a joke deck featuring Gungans instead of Naboo royalty. But it was his latest prank that resulted in the city administrator Lando Calrissian to sentence him to community service. That'll teach him not to put itching powder on his capes. Barry had resigned himself to tedious boredom with no hope of anything interesting happening, when something interesting happened. Something struck him on the back of the head. "Ow," said Barry, rubbing the impact zone, and they looked down to an odd sight. A severed hand clutching onto some kind of tool. Barry wasn't sure what it was, maybe it was some kind of welding torch. Before he could speculate any further, an alarm started blaring across the city, and a deep, smooth voice came through the PA system. "Attention, this is Lando Calrissian. Attention, the Empire is taking control of the city. I advise everyone to leave before more Imperial troops arrive." "And I'm down with Cloud City," said Barry to himself, and grabbing everything nearby, ran for the door, but was met with crowds of people running through the hallways. He never realized how many people there really were in the city until he saw them running for the exits. In the distance, Barry could have sworn he saw a Wookiee, which he didn't know lived outside of Kashyyyk. Barry! And from among the crowd came Barry's friend, Drew Kingston, who had also been given community service for his part in the pranks against Calrissian. He had to reorganize the archives to ensure it wasn't incomplete. "What's going on? What did you do?" "Whoa, I swear I didn't do this one thing," Barry said, raising his hands defensively. Drew then noticed the strange object Barry was carrying. His eyes widened. "Where did you get that?" "What, this?" Barry asked, confused by Drew's panic. "I found it, or it found me at 100 parsecs an hour. We can discuss your ignorance of units of time and distance later," said Drew, dragging Barry through the hallway towards the landing base. "But we have to get out of here now. We definitely don't want to be caught by the Empire with that thing." "But why?" Drew didn't answer and continued to push through the crowd until he reached a ship that was being mostly ignored by the rest of the crowd. A battered-looking light freighter with peeling red decals, which is currently being prepared by a young woman with a braid of blonde hair. The ramp was down, allowing for their escape. "That one," said Drew, and he and Barry ran in. The woman didn't fail to notice this. "Hey, what are you nerf hurters doing on my ship? We have to get out of here," Drew said desperately. "Yeah, everyone does," shouted the woman, hands on her hips. "Calrissian called for a mass evacuation, but we need to especially. Look," said Drew, pointing at Barry's newly acquired strange object. The woman's eyes widened as well. She ran to the ship's control. "Oh, what have you dragged me into?" she said angrily, as she started up the ship. "I don't get it," a confused Barry said. "Why are you making a big deal over this thing?" "Barry," Drew said in bewilderment. "Don't you know what this is? Didn't you ever hear the tragedy of Order 66? On Megiddo, a crystalline planet in the Outer Rim, an army of slaves were working down in a mine searching for something that might not be found. But that wouldn't stop the Imperial commander in charge of this operation, who surveyed the vast quarry from his quarters. The doors opened and a timid young officer entered, who was dreading not only having to converse with the commander, but having to deliver bad news. Hi, General Tenebris?" The High General turned to face him, revealing a dark Imperial uniform draped in a cape that helped cast a wider shadow. The General's face was hidden behind a helmet, not too dissimilar to Darth Vader, with a respirator covering the mouth and nose, and a domed helmet covering the rest of his head. The helmet was adorned with horns in homage to the Darbraks. Well, one in particular. "What is it, Commander Lars?" The young Captain Kane Lars struggled to look High General Tenebris in the eye, not only because of the vast height difference, but also there was a dangerous rage behind those eyes that would scare just about anything to look into them. We have a report from Cloud City," Captain Lars said, shuffling his feet. "It appears that the city's been evacuated. The mining operations have ceased." Tenebris breathed deeply, and the respirator made his breathing sound like a rancor snore. "Damn you, Vader," he said under his breath. "But no matter, for I believe we are close to finding what it is I seek here, Megiddo." "High General," said Captain Lars, "you never did say what it is we're looking for." Tenebris' eyes squinted in a way that might have indicated a smirk under the helmet. "That is for me to know," said Tenebris with an air of superiority. "But if it is found, then we can dispose of that fool Darth Vader, and I can restore order to the galaxy at the Emperor's side." With that, another officer entered, exuding more confidence than Captain Lars could ever hope for. "High General Tenebris," said Lieutenant Nigellus Bagman, "one of the Wookiees have found something promising." "Excellent," Tenebris said, striding forward. "See, Captain Lars, why can't you have a more positive attitude?" "Oh well, Lieutenant Bagman, you can have his rank." "Thank you, High General," said Bagman, bowing deeply. Captain Lars stepped back a few paces, panic gripping him. "Well, what about me?" Tenebris pulled his blaster from his holster and nonchalantly shot Lars in the chest, killing him in a flash of white sparks. "He was rather a boring fellow anyway," said Tenebris, turning to Bagman. "Now, show me what this Wookiee has found." Barry knew he should have paid more attention in his history lessons, but he never could due to his rivalry with Master Odoy. After Drew finished telling the story of how Chancellor Palpatine issued the order to kill all the Jedi across the galaxy, Barry realized the significance of what he found. "So this," he said, holding up the object cautiously, "is a lightsaber. One owned by a Jedi, yes. An elegant weapon in a more civilized age." The blonde woman set the ship to autopilot and walked over to her stowaways. "So what do you plan to do with it?" "Well, we have to get rid of it," said Drew. "If we're found with it, the Empire will have our heads, and likely the rest of our bodies too," said Barry. "Well, would you be opposed to selling it on the black market?" asked the pilot. "An old artifact like that would probably fetch quite a few credits from the right seller, and I'll consider it payment for your transport." "Yeah, that was kind of an emergency," Drew said sheepishly. "Everyone had to leave." "I suppose," said the pilot. "Still, you guys owe me for dragging me into this mess." "Fine," said Barry, hoping to circumvent any quarrel between them. He didn't fancy their chances against his pilot, as he and Drew were unarmed, and the pilot had her hand dangerously close to her blaster. "We didn't get your name before." Vanessa Frost said to pilot, brushing her braid over her shoulder, captain of the Noxian Eagle. This ship. Oh, where do you recommend we find this seller? Asked Barry. I know of someone, Vanessa said, but she'll not give us a fair price. She'll likely argue it's a sacred artifact more important than credits. No, we'll go to my other guy. He's a bit shifty, but we'll actually be able to strike a deal with him, so long as we can get past the stormtroopers and the huts on Tatooine. Tatooine? Drew exclaimed. Oh, I don't want to go to Tatooine. The sand will get on my pants. They know how coarse and rough and irritating it can be. I'm beginning to realize how coarse, rough and irritating you can be, retorted Vanessa. Would you rather get some credits that we can use to escape to safety, or hand it over to a bug-eyed old lady for free? Before the matter could be discussed further, the ship's sensors blared as it collided into another ship. A Fire Spray 31, painted in green and red. Damn it, the autopilots failed on me again, cursed Vanessa, running back to the controls. Through the windows, Barry and Drew could see the figure of a man emerge from the other ship and fly towards them. We're about to have company, Barry shouted as the doors were beginning to be pried open from the outside. Give us your blaster, shouted Drew. The hell I will, Vanessa shouted back. I wouldn't trust you with a spanner, let alone a blaster. Desperate, Barry looked at the lightsaber for a button, but before he could find it, the doors burst open and a mysterious figure entered. The man was covered in head to toe in armour. The colours matched those of his ship, and a blaster was trained at him. Barry then realised that he recognised this man from his brief visit to Cloud City in recent days. They had just been boarded by Boba Fett. To be continued.